Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Evam Vishwapad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Shrotra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Iskcon Founder Acharya BBT Founder Acharya Jagat Guru Savior of the whole world Patit Pavan Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की इस्कॉन हैदराबाद भक्त वृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 13, text number 26. Yo hava iha bahuvida Mahabhagavatatvaya bihitaha Parokshena vachasa Jivaloka bhavadhava Sorry Tva Sahi Arya Manishaya Kalpita Vishayo Nanja Wait Nanja Savyutpanna Loka Samadhigamaha Atatat Evaitad Duravagamam Samavetanukalpena Nirtisyatamiti Yohava iha bahuvida Yohava iha bahuvida Mahabhagavata tvaya bihita Parokshena vachasa Jivaloka bhavadva Sahi Arya Manishaya Kalpa Vishayo Sahi Arya Manishaya Kalpa Vishayo Nanja Savyatpanna Loka Samadhigamaha Nanja Savyatpanna Loka Samadhigamaha Athatat Evaitat Duravagamam Athatat Evaitat Duravagamam Samavetanukalpena Nirdishyatamiti Samavetanukalpena Nirdishyatamiti Okay. Raja Uvacha. King Parikshit said, "Ya, which? Ha, certainly. Va, or Iha, in this narration. Bhuvida, who are aware of many incidents of transcendental knowledge. Mahabhagavata, O great devotee sage, Tvaya, by you, Abhihitaha, described, Parokshena, figuratively, Vachasa, by words, Jivaloka Bhavadva, the path of material existence of the conditioned soul. Saha, that he, indeed, Arya Manishaya, by the intelligence of the advanced devotees. Kalpita Vishayaha, the subject matter is imagined. Na, not. Anjasa, directly. Avyutpanna Loka, of persons who are not very experienced or intelligent. Samadhigamaha, the complete understanding. Ataha, therefore, tadeva, because of that, etat, this matter, duravagamam, which is difficult to understand, samaveta anukalpena, by substituting the direct meaning of such incidents, nirdishyatam, let it be described, iti, thus. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. King Parikshit then told Sukadeva Goswami, my dear Lord, O great sage, you are omniscient. You have very nicely described the position of the conditioned soul, which is who is compared to a merchant in the forest. From these instructions, intelligent men can understand that the senses of a person in the bodily conception are like the rogues and thieves in the forest, in that forest. And one's wife and children are like the jackals and other ferocious animals. However, it is not very easy for the unintelligent to understand the purport of this story, because it is difficult to extricate the exact meaning from the allegory. I therefore request Your Holiness to give the direct meaning. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Yakshurun Militam Yena. Please chant. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah.
Kadamayyam dadati swapadantikam vandeham Shri Guru padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho
Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta ते वृन्दावनेश्वरी सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च भवनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम Please repeat after me. King Parikshit then told Sukadeva Goswami, my dear Lord, O devotee sage, O great devotee sage, you are omniscient. You have very nicely described the position of the conditioned soul who is compared to a merchant in the forest. From these instructions, intelligent men can understand that the senses of a person in the bodily conception are like rogues and thieves in that forest, and one's wife and children are like jackals and other ferocious animals. However, it is not very easy for the unintelligent to understand the purport of this story, because it is very difficult to extricate the exact meaning from the allegory. I therefore request Your Holiness to give the direct meaning. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. In the verse number 21, King Rahuguna says, this birth as a human being is the best of all. Even birth among demigods in the heavenly planets is not as glorious as the birth as a human being on this earth. What is the use of the exalted position of a demigod? In the heavenly planets, due to profuse material comfort, there is no possibility of associating with devotees. In verse 22, Maharaj Rahuguna says, it is not at all wonderful that simply by being covered by the dust of your lotus feet, one immediately attains the platform of pure devotional service to Adhokshaja, which is not available even to great demigods like Brahma. By associating with you just for a moment, I am now freed from all argument, false prestige, and lack of discrimination, which are the roots of entanglement in the material world. Now I am free from all these problems. Verse 23. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the great personalities, whether they walk on the earth's surface as children, young boys, avadutas, or great brahmanas. Even if they are hidden under different guises, I offer my respects to all of them. By their mercy, may there be good fortune in the royal dynasties that are always offending them. So here, towards the end of this chapter, we see that Maharaj Rahugana is genuinely appreciative, regretting and remorseful about his initial reaction to Jadabharata, because he had treated Jadabharata as an ordinary palanquin carrier. But it's only when Jadabharata opened his mouth, he realized that Jadabharata is an avaduta. And when Bharata instructed Maharaj Raghuna, or rather questioned Maharaj Raghuna. Then Maharaj Raghuna actually comes to his senses and then realizes that Jadabharata is speaking on a completely different platform. Maharaj Raghuna was obviously bound, or shall we say, stuck on a material platform. And I am the king, he is my palanquin carrier, I am the so I am the authority, and he is my servant, and his job is to carry, and he's got the body, very mighty looking body. And how dare he be so irresponsible and not carry the palanquin in a proper orderly manner. So Maharaj Raghuna very offensively chastises Jadabharata. Very very nasty, very nastily and offensively chastises Jadabharata. And he also threatens to take action against Jadabharata. He says, can't you even do something as simple as carry a palanquin? There's nothing very complicated about this. So what's your problem? What's your difficulty? And you seem to have a body like a bull or an ox or something. Very offensive statements. But Maharaj Raghuna thought it's perfectly okay to say something like this to a palanquin carrier who is staggering and out of step with the other three or other four, or whatever, out of step. So he chastises Jadabharata. He says, don't you know I'm the king? Don't you know how I can punish you? Don't you know I'm your authority? What I can do to you? Doesn't that scare you? Like that. But Jadabharata continues in the same manner, because we all know that Jadabharata was so concerned about not trampling on ants and insects and going on the... Because he understands, his understanding is everybody has a right to live and nobody can snatch it away. And definitely not some arrogant king who's being carried on a palanquin. He has no right to take away the right of life of some ants and insects. Jadabharata is very, very convinced that that cannot happen. So in order to avoid the ants and insects, he walks in a little crooked way. So it's only after Maharaj Raghuna threatens him even further that Jadabharata opens his mouth and says, oh, so you think you're the king, is it? Don't you know that it's a very transitory, very temporary designation that your body is carrying? Actually, nobody is anybody's king. You're just under illusion thinking you're the king. So, Raghuna is shocked. He says, I never heard anybody call me like that, not a king. Nobody is anybody's king. Everybody is same, like that, he says. We're all playing our roles according to time, circumstances, karma, etc. You may be king this life, who knows what you'll be next life. And Maharaj Raghuna has never had someone speak to him so directly and so firmly like that. So it is said that he becomes struck by the wisdom that the words of Jadabharata carry. Wisdom, the conviction, the confidence with which Jadabharata spoke. You don't have authority over, that kind of an authority over me, and you can't offend like that. Jadabharata speaks. And as soon as he realizes that this person who is masquerading as a palanquin carrier is not really a palanquin carrier, is a great avaduta, a great knowledgeable person. So Raghuna realizes his folly and immediately tries to make amends. So we see in the purport of this chapter, Prabhupada writes that mistakes do happen. There is nobody who's immune from doing mistakes. Mistakes can happen all the time because we are marginal living entities with very limited scope of uh, intelligence, etc. And then the living entity is prone to these defects, can be illusion, can commit mistakes, has a cheating tendency, and has imperfect senses. So mistakes do happen, mistakes will happen. But the one who learns, it is said that one who learns how to go beyond these mistakes is one who acknowledges that I've committed a mistake, I've done a mistake, I've wrongly analyzed, wrongly understood, I've overreacted, got carried away, etc. And then makes amends and apologizes, regrets, and tries to learn. And the one who will never learn from doing mistakes is one who denies, who lives in a denial, state of denial. He says, no, how do you say I did a mistake? How can you say this? How can you argue? Like that. So one who lives in a state of denial, even the opportunity to reflect, introspect, and change will be lost. But the good thing is Maharaj Raghuguna was very thoughtful. So immediately he comes out of his palanquin and then prostrates before Jadabharata and apologizes, profusely apologizes. Then he says that you spoke in a very intriguing manner. You spoke with as if you spoke like a riddle, like a sutra, like a riddle. I am not able to fully fathom the profundity of what you have said. It's beyond me. After all, I'm a king. I'm a hardcore materialist. I'm absorbed in. Kings are, by virtue of their responsibility, duty, they have to have a dualistic view. It means good, bad, friend, enemy, like that. They have mine, others. So they are condemned in one sense to have a dualistic vision of this world. Danger, no danger. Happiness, sad, like that. But the sadhus have transcended such materialistic dualities. That's why it's called duality. Good, bad, happiness, tragedy, happy, like that. Dualities. The sadhus have transcended because of the simple reason that they understand that everything here belongs to God. Everything is happening by the plan of God, by the will of the Lord. And at best, I'm just an actor. I'm just a simple actor in this world. I'm not the controller of anything or anybody. Neither anything, nor any situation, nor anybody. So the sadhus understand this, but the king does not. So Maharaj Raghuna requests Jadabharata, can you please kindly elaborate on this proposition that you have made, that nobody is nobody's boss, everything is happening by the divine plan, divine arrangement. Kindly educate me, kindly impart to me further knowledge, more elaborate this. So Raghuna becomes pleased by the submissive attitude Jadabharata becomes pleased by the submissive attitude of Raghuna, and in the whole conversation happens over a few chapters, how Jadabharata is imparting this knowledge and to Maharaj Raghuna. This is towards the end of this chapter. Actually, the conversation between Raghuna and Jadabharata is completed. Now there is the conversation between Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami. And Prabhupada is writing some very, very nice, very sweet purport here. Prabhupada is writing, in the previous verses also. He's saying that a pure devotee has all the qualities of a sadhu. Jadabharata is an example of this. Due to the material body, his senses were certainly agitated when he was insulted by King Raghugana. But later, due to the king's humble submission, Jadabharata excused him. It is a duty of everyone desiring to return to Godhead to become submissive, like King Rahugana, and beg pardon of the Vaishnavas one may have offended. Vaishnavas are generally very kind-hearted. Therefore, if one immediately submits himself at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava and is immediately cleared of the offensive reaction. If one does not do so, the reactions will remain and the results will not be very palatable. So, though Maharaj Raghugana treated Jadabharata initially as a palanquin carrier and offended him, but because of subsequent change of his behavior, he submits himself, seeks, offers an apology, seeks forgiveness, seeks knowledge, and is very, very deeply appreciative of Jadabharata and recognizes his very transcendental divine position and glorifies him, appreciates him. It's said that like all genuine true Vaishnavas who are very kind-hearted, gentle, kind-hearted, forgiving, compassionate, loving in their heart, Jadabharata immediately excuses Maharaj Raghugana. He says, it's all right. Mistakes do happen. But the good thing is you're redeeming yourself. You're redeeming yourself by offering to apologize, seek forgiveness, beg forgiveness. So that's okay. So Prabhupada says this is the quality of a sadhu. Two things also should happen. The sadhu should have the large-heartedness and the courage, or shall we say, sufficiently compassionate to be able to forgive. To have a very large-hearted vision that everybody, there'll always be some mistakes in this material world. So the sadhu should also be willing to forgive, and the person should also be willing to offer apology and seek forgiveness. Both ways it should happen. So we see here that a classic case of a king who offended and later submissively submitted himself to the lotus feet of Jadabharata. And we see Jadabharata also showing that kind of a large-heartedness, and he forgives. Actually, this is said even in materialistic dealings. People say this very often. Let go. Don't have bitter feelings in your heart. Let go. Don't make your heart a repository of bitter feelings, disappointments, anger, jealousy, mood of wanting to take revenge. Don't make your heart, don't spoil the nature of your heart by depositing all these things, make it a repository of all these things. Be large-hearted. Let go. Actually, they say when you learn this habit of forgiving and let go, it's very healthy. Because somebody is always mistaking you, and sometimes you're also, sometimes you're on this side, sometimes you're on the other side. Sometimes you're a victim, sometimes we are also misbehaving, misjudging, misbehaving, wrongly assess, wrongly understand. So both ways is wrong. Sometimes we may get caught on either side of the equation. Sometimes we are offending, sometimes somebody offends us. Either way, it's very good to let go. Carry on with life. Don't get paraphrased or with such an incident all the time. Deposit in your mind, keep it in a safe deposit locker. Every now and then visit. That thought is there in my mind safely or not. This guy did this to me, he did that to me, and refresh your mind with all this kind of bitterness. It's actually not so easy. It's difficult to let go. Very difficult to let go. Because the nature of the mind is either we have anger, jealousy, and the feeling of victimhood is very strong in our mind. That's how we are conditioned to think. If we are the victim, we think I'm the victim, and if we offend, we'll say, even then we start thinking I'm the victim. He didn't behave with me properly. Something like that. So this victimhood business is very prominent in conditioned souls thinking. So it's encouraged that we let go. Just leave it. Krishna will take care, karma will take care, somebody else will take care. It's not my business. I can't go on refreshing my mind thinking about some mistake. For the simple reason that I may also do some mistake sometime. That's why it's mentioned, do unto others what you would want others to do unto you. That means you do a mistake, you want that person who has done a, you want, suppose somebody has done a mistake towards you, you want him to be punished, then you should also be ready to receive punishment. Do unto others what you would want others to do unto you. That means you should also be ready to receive punishment. And we definitely want others to be punished, but when it comes to us being punished, we may not be first in the line. We will hesitate. We will say, I wish they could forgive me, or something like that. I tried my best, in spite of that some mistake happened. I really tried, genuinely, but what to do, I got carried away by anger or something like that. So it's nice to let go. So here we see very clearly Prabhupada bringing out that point as a quality in Jada Bharata. He said he was upset that he was being treated like that. I mean, it's not that Jada Bharata thought, I'm a great sadhu, I'm a great avaduta, I'm great devotee, I'm great this, I'm great that, and he's treating me. Jada Bharata thought Maharaj Raghugana misbehaved because he was a human being. No human being has a right to override somebody in that manner, insult, humiliate, chastise someone in that manner. So Jada Bharata thought, it's not that Jada Bharata was felt insulted because he was a great acharya or avaduta, but even human beings, even a human being cannot be treated like that. How could anybody treat? Just because he's a king, he has no right to insult, humiliate, and chastise whimsically without understanding why I was walking like that. So it's not an exhibition of Jada Bharata's pride. Jada Bharata is avaduta, transcendental. He's completely free from pride or envy or anger or ego, false nothing. He just thinks, even at a human to human level, he thinks that this is wrong. In the first place, he is sitting on a palanquin and we are carrying him. We should be grateful to us. Rather, he is chastising us. But nevertheless, Jada Bharata very graciously accepts the apology of Maharaj Raghugana. So it's like in our life, sometimes we go through some situations like this. It's like resetting our life, erasing the past and making a fresh new life, rather than holding on to some things like this from the past. Then this feeling that something unfair, unjust has happened to me. There has been an atrocity done on me. Something wrong has happened to me. So we hold on to that. Sometimes some sect of people hold on to that for centuries. Oh your great grandfather, because he was a Brahmana and I was a Dalit, they practice untouchability. So now I want to take revenge on you today. That's sometimes these things happen. They hold on to some bitterness for centuries. For forever and ever and ever. I was denied, my great grandfather was denied entry into this temple then. So now I want to punish you, or I want to, yes, like that. So because the society is taught, of course, see, there is also another statement which says we have to learn lessons from history. We cannot ignore. We cannot pretend history did not happen. We cannot pretend that these things did not happen. We cannot ignore. That is also risky. That's also wrong. It's risky. That's incorrect. But we see, like they always say, learn lessons from the past, apply them in the present. But we can't live like that. Some historical wrong, we'll write it now, or something like that. It has to be applied with balance. But for various reasons, sometimes this kind of a tendency is encouraged politically and so on. And this becomes huge. This causes divisions in the society. somebody feels victimhood, somebody feels, they want somebody who has to feel guilty now for something that he has not done. His forefathers may have done. But they want him to feel guilty now. They want that whole community, race, to feel guilty and punished for something like that. So that's one extreme. Even the other extreme, saying that to pretend that something like that never happened, is also not correct. Because history is there to teach us. So we have to learn also. We cannot pretend that nothing of that nature happened. Whereas we cannot also live eternally in that kind of a victimhood mentality. So Maharaj Raghunatha shows perfect balance. He says, all right, you have apologized. Now let's move on. I'll teach you. I'm good with your apology. I'll teach you. So wholeheartedly, Jadabharata teaches Maharaj Raghunatha. Wholeheartedly, completely. He instructs. He liberates Maharaj Raghunatha from a bodily concept of thinking and educates him. So society has to hit reset button once in a while. We also have to. Definitely, like I said, we can't make our mind a repository of bitter feelings, feeling victimized, victimhood, etc. But definitely, we have to learn lessons from that. Whoever has done the mistake, we have to be careful, we have to be cautious, or we have to make sure that some correction is applied, correction is done. Somebody who's responsible takes accountability, apologizes, and then move on in life. It's like sometimes different mistakes devotees would do, go to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada would say, all right, now it's done, carry on now. It's carry on. Don't go on brooding over it. Even if somebody has done a gross mistake of violating his ashram dharma also, Prabhupada would feel bad, feel sad, maybe chastise him lovingly, very lovingly, correct him, and then say, carry on. There's not any reason for you to give up your bhakti or seva. You carry on. Maybe go elsewhere. You go to some other temple, some other place, make a fresh new start. The Prabhupada would do that. So here we see that Bhagavatam. So in this episode, not only are the instructions of Jadabharata very important, even the conduct of Raghunatha is something for us to reflect upon. And the amazing large-heartedness of Jadabharata also is something we can reflect on. That culture of apologizing, culture of forgiving, culture of resetting your mind. And Jadabharata says, all right, let's forget about it now. You apologize, I'll help you, I'll teach you, I'll instruct you. So Prabhupada says, if this were not to be done, it will lead to very unpalatable results. Either way, if Jadabharata had not forgiven and if Maharaj Raghunatha had not apologized, both ways, it would have led to unpalatable results. The elder person in the equation should definitely learn to be large-hearted, gracious, and forgiving, compassionate. These qualities are expected of a Vaishnava. Prabhupada says that. Compassionate, because he should know that in the conditioned state, people, the devotees, may become victim of anger, lust, greed, envy, laziness, mood of wanting to take revenge. They may be completely gripped by this mood, by this bhava, this very dangerous cocktail of strong emotions. They may be bound by that. And they will definitely harm themselves, harm others, harm society. They can do a lot of damage to a lot of things. I'm sorry. They can cause damage to a lot of things. So sometimes they have to be protected from damaging themselves also. Because anger is very destructive. And so Srila Prabhupada is explaining that whereas the contents of what Jadabharata spoke are by themselves very meritorious and worth consideration, because he speaks about how at one time he chastises Maharaj Raghunatha. He says, you're a fool. he calls the king a fool and says, you're not even aware that this position of king that you're enjoying is very temporary, who knows what you will be the next life. What makes you think you're the Ishwar of all the living entities just because you're born as a king in one lifetime? Learn to be so Jadabharat chastises Rahugana. So even the aspect of how they conducted with each other is also very illuminating. So Parikshit Maharaj doesn't miss this point. So in the last shloka, what we are studying today, Parikshit Maharaj is now glorifying Sukadeva Goswami. He says, it is my proud privilege to be sitting at your lotus feet and hearing you analyze this story of Rahugana and Jadabharata. It's so illuminating, it's so reformative, it's so transformative for me. Just to hear you speak on all the aspects of this episode, Rahugana versus Jadabharata. So Parikshit Maharaj is saying, I'm very grateful to you. I acknowledge, I'm very indebted to you. And then he says that very nicely describe the position of the conditioned soul. And then he says, from these instructions, intelligent men can understand the sensitive person. In the bodily conceptions are like rogues and thieves, and then family are members like jackals and ferocious animals. But he also says that it's the forest of enjoyment concept that you have presented it is not very easy for people like us to understand. Can you kindly elaborate? Difficult to extricate the exact meaning of the allegory. I therefore request your holiness to give the direct meaning. So Maharaj Parikshit is very, very elegantly requesting Sukadeva Goswami, while appreciating him, acknowledging his position, glorifying him, showing his gratitude, then submit very humbly, very elegantly submitting his next question, saying that you mentioned this thing about forest of enjoyment, this material world being a forest of enjoyment. It's very difficult to extricate the exact meaning of this allegory. How people become lost in this forest of enjoyment, searching, seemingly wanting to search for happiness and being trapped. Searching for happiness, but actually eventually they get trapped in this material world. So can you, because it's not so easy to extricate, it's not very, very clear. So kindly, can you extricate, can you extract the exact meaning of this allegory and then kindly reveal to us a little more? So Parikshit Maharaj is also showing the highest level of Vaishnava etiquette. So when a student shows this type of etiquette, it is without saying, and the teacher becomes very interested and will enthusiastic to guide such a student. Voluntarily, on his own, comes forward, hears, listens carefully, and tries to understand. When he finds something that is little difficult to understand, very submissively, very humbly, very submits, requests the Acharya, can you kindly elaborate a little more? Because it's an allegory. Allegory means it's a particular style of speaking where great acharyas, sadhus, scientists, others, they use, say for example, the allegory means they're using a forest hunter wandering in the forest, searching for an animal to kill or something. It's actually a figuratively or allegorically representing a living entity searching in the material world for something called happiness. So we have to extract the meaning out of this allegory. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking, and Sukadeva Goswami obviously becomes very enthusiastic at having the opportunity to teach a perfect student. Actually, it is repeatedly emphasized. There's no shortage of knowledge, no shortage of acharyas, no shortage of teachers. There's shortage of a proper temperament, proper students who approach a master in the right way, in the right mood, in the right spirit, with the proper, genuinely proper and sincere etiquette. The shortage is that the knowledge is there. The knowledge is always there. Prabhupada did not invent anything new. It is there in this timelessly present from time immemorial. It's present in the scriptures, in the Bhagavatam, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Upanishads, in the Brahma Sutras. Knowledge is there. Paramatma is there to guide also. But we are not ready. Yes, we're partly ready. That's the right way. It's not that we're not entirely ready. We're ready, but not fully. We have a large portion of our mind which is still wanting to explore the material world. Explore the material world. In spite of hearing so many warnings, but still we say, no, I know how, I can figure it out. I know how to do it right. And I can do it. So we still seem to think that the material world is worth exploring, experimenting with, experiencing, examining. So we still seem to think. So we don't submit ourselves completely, fully. And so our willingness to accept Vedic teachings as they are also are impeded. We don't willingly, wholeheartedly accept the teachings in their entirety. Whatever is convenient, whatever is convenient for us in our present state of consciousness, we accept. Rest of it we know, but we don't quite really accept or implement, because we still, which is why it is said that Vedic knowledge is revealed in the heart of somebody who is materially exhausted. That means he has nothing else left. He is fully convinced. This is a dangerous place. Dangerous place simply because there are many things in this world which can occupy your mind space and push your God consciousness out. What I mean to say is that it's dangerous not because you may burn yourself, you may hurt yourself, you may commit sin, you may commit this, you may get trapped, you may commit offenses. No, not that. The real danger is that this material world can kindle the hope of enjoyment in you. Light this fire of enjoyment. Light the hope of enjoyment. I can enjoy in this material world. There is something worth enjoying, exploring. That is the real problem in the material world. So we have not exhausted. We still think, okay, I've become a devotee, but even after one becomes a devotee, there is still this tendency creeps in. I'm a devotee, all right, but maybe I can enjoy being a good devotee, famous devotee, popular devotee, known as a nice devotee. So it somehow creeps in. It masquerades as bhakti, but comes into our consciousness. So that's the real danger in the material world. Danger in the material world is not necessarily the form of the woman or lust or this or that. That's there. That's all right. That's always there. But a more pervading, omniscient danger, like the word omniscient is used in this verse. Omniscient, always present danger is kindling the hope that I can enjoy in this material world. In this world, devotional world also, I can enjoy. How do I enjoy in the devotional world? Like I said, this urge to have a good reputation, to have good following or reputation, or famous as this or that. It could be anything. He's a good manager, he's a good singer, he's a good this, he's a good that. So that all pervasive, omniscient desire to enjoy something. That is the real threat and danger of this material world. That may initially come in the form of lust, later on lust or greed or whatever, the form of woman and sex and this and that. But later on it may camouflage, it may more puja labha pratishta. So there is this desire to become famous, prominent, respected, like that. So it can be present in any of these shades. So as long as such desire we are harboring in our mind with the hope that I can enjoy. So the only desire that a devotee should have is ahaituki aprati hatha anukulyena Krishna anushilnam, rendering favorable service for the pleasure of Krishna. I want to see Krishna happy. I want to see Guru, Krishna, Vaishnavas happy. That's all. And I want to be a dependable, simple, humble Vaishnava surrendered at their lotus feet, trying to execute their instructions. And to always think of oneself in that position. All I am doing is trying to surrender, You should not even think I am fully surrendered. Trying to surrender, trying to follow, trying to please them, and I'm grateful to them that they're accepting me in spite of all my faults. In spite of all my faults and shortcomings and whatever impurities, they're still accepting and engaging me. So this is the mood in which a devotee should apply himself, and that's when he starts looking at anything in the material world as a possible source of threat to his consciousness. So Maharaj Parikshit is asking that, I'm not able to understand this example correctly. What do you mean by saying forest of material enjoyment or forest, or what is the real, who or what is the real threat in the forest? Are they the hunters? Is the hunter the threat? Is the atmosphere the threat? What is it? So Parikshit asking a very intelligent question. In other words, he's saying, please document for me, categorize for me, catalog for me, what are the threats of this material world? What are they? So, if Maharaj Raghuna, if Bharata said ferocious animals, what does it mean? How do we understand forest animals? What is it being? What is this concept of a wild ferocious animal referring to in the material world, in our life? So Parikshit is inquiring, saying, can you please extract this meaning, and so that I can be even more careful. Like, say, for example, here it is mentioned that family, women and wife, children, are actually out there to snatch from you. They're not going to give you anything. They will never expect that they will contribute to you or your advancement in spiritual. It happens rarely. But generally speaking, they want to take from you. You have to provide for them, give them, take care of them, nourish them, nurture them, help them, support them. So they're basically taking away your time, which you could have used otherwise in the service of Guru and Krishna. They're taking away all of it. So they're plundering your time, your intelligence. And what are they giving you in return? Nothing. Nothing they give you. They give you more anxiety. That's all. More anxiety, actually they give you more scope for attachment. Not only anxiety, you become attached. In the world of attachment and anxiety, then there is this whole thing goes up and down, like, dislike, good, bad, all those things happen. So this is what the family contributes. Parikshit Maharaj is asking that question. Family means this. They're actually like jackals and ferocious animals. And then he also says, bodily conception are like, senses in the body are like rogues and thieves. Senses are rogues and thieves, family members are like ferocious animals. So I am trapped. One side there are rogues and thieves, the other side there are ferocious animals. Parikshit Maharaj wants to know why senses are compared to rogues and thieves and not to ferocious animals, and why family members are compared to not rogues and thieves but ferocious animals. So he wants to know. Sukadeva Goswami is all the more pleased to get an opportunity to explain. So the point is that we should be willing, we should be ready, we should be humble. We don't know when and through which means, through whom Krishna wants to teach us something. We have absolutely no idea. We should be always ready. Like in the, I don't know, 11th or 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, there is this, you can learn from the snake, you can learn from the bird, you can learn from wind, you can learn from fire, you can learn from, where is that? 11th canto, I think. Huh? 24 gurus, correct. From 24 gurus. You should always be ready to learn. Why you should learn? Because the more you are, the more you become aware of your real nature as a servant of Krishna, the more you are in your original Swarupa Sthan, and that's when you will be truly happy. Everything else is false, everything else is artificial, everything else is false and artificial covering, which takes you away from your original Swarup of wanting to serve and please Guru and Krishna, takes you away. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking a very, very incisive, precise question. Sukadeva Goswami is more than happy, willing. Just as Jada was more than willing to teach Rahuguna in spite of being offended. But Bharata excuses him. So ultimately, what is being showcased here is some kind of a Guru-Shishya relationship. We saw that between Rahugana and Jadabharata. Now, towards the end of the chapter, we are seeing between Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami. We have to hear with an open mind and a ready heart. Everything, all knowledge descends from a higher source to us. If you are ready to hear, willing to hear, respectfully, then this knowledge, not only these words, not only become knowledge, these words transform into realization in one's heart. These words give us hope, give us shelter. These words become light, guiding light in our life. And these words help us free ourselves from rogues and thieves and also from ferocious animals. Both of these things, these words. So it is said, after receiving lessons from great devotee Jadabharata, the king, completely aware of the constitutional position of the soul, he thus gave up bodily conception. My dear king, whoever takes shelter of the servant of the Lord is certainly glorified, because he can without difficulty give up bodily conception. So Parikshit Maharaj is saying, rather, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, because the king took shelter. Now what does it mean to take shelter? To accept these words as absolute truth, accept these words wholeheartedly, not in a challenging spirit, accept these words with gratitude, with gratefulness, accept these words and live by these words. So that's when he becomes free from all forms of material conception, and that includes lust, greed, envy, anger, jealousy, completely free from the world of duality. He's fixed in a world of one single absolute reality. That is, I'm the servant of God, servant of Krishna, Guru Krishna. That's one single absolute truth, and not the world of duality. So material conception is duality. But spiritual conception is, I am servant of Krishna. And a more advanced, evolved spiritual conception is, I am servant of Krishna, so is everybody. So how can I be jealous of them? How can I be the king, treat myself as the king and somebody else as the palanquin puller? The only supreme authority in this world is Guru, Krishna. Krishna's word, not me. I can't replace Krishna, I can't pretend to be Krishna. That's the beauty about having this crystal clear understanding that I am servant of Krishna, free from material conception. Like I said, material conception is world of duality. So here, Shukadeva Goswami is saying he becomes free from material conception means world of duality. Mine, others. My family, not my family. My wealth is not mine. Mine, somebody else's. Like that. But actually everything belongs to Krishna. Krishna is everything. I also belong to Krishna, so does everybody else. So there's no, Prabhupada sometimes said that's some kind of a spiritual communism. Everything belongs to Krishna. Everything is not owned by the state, owned by Krishna. So if I have been entrusted with something for some reason, some temporary reason, I have to use it also for the pleasure of Krishna. I'm just entrusted with custody of that. I'm not the owner. I can never call myself. Owner is Krishna and always shall remain Krishna. Krishna is the only owner. And he owns everything including me. He owns me. I may be the king. He owns in the equal manner, Krishna owns also those who are pulling the chariot or carrying the palanquin. I don't have any extraordinary right over them. So a Paramahamsa does not see duality, which is what is said in the Bhagavad Gita. He sees the dog eater, this, that, everything is same. Everything is belonging to as energy of Krishna. Meant to serve and please Krishna. Meant to be engaged in the service of Krishna. So that's why Jadabharata forgives Rahuna and says, all right, so you're forgiven. Now, let's move on. We're all servants of Krishna. Whatever I have learned, whatever I know, I'm very happy to share with you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna Babaji, Dandavat Pram. Here is yesterday's class and today's class also give up the bodily conceptions of life. Mostly give up the bodily conceptions of life. Yesterday, for the example, Ravana, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishna. Vibhishna gave up the bodily conceptions of life, so he went to Lord Rama. And Kumbhakarna and Ravana didn't give up the bodily conceptions of life, so he engaged in that one. For that purpose, what I'm saying is, if you engage, this is my children, this is my family, this is my wife, like that. Engage them all in Krishna's service, then no need to give up. I mean, fully surrender them to Krishna's feet, then no need to give up. Then we also make them to liberation. No,
what are you saying? You're saying Vibhishna became free from materialistic dualities of life, concept of life. That's what you're saying, right? So, what is the actual question? I couldn't hear clearly.
Liberation, liberation. Vibhishna got liberation, surrendered to Lord Rama. See, here, give up the bodily conceptions of life. Means, give up the wife, family, children, everything. Okay, we can get them engaged in Krishna's service, so that we can them to liberation also. Then no need to give up them, na.
No need to give up what?
The bodily conceptions of life.
Oh, if you engage the family in devotional service, you don't have to give up family concept.
That's probably, that's my wish.
Okay. You see, there is always the grahastha, there is the brahmachari, there is the vanaprastha, and there is the sannyas. So we have to understand that if you are a grahastha, of course, Srila Prabhupada says, some are Paramahamsa grahasthas, some are liberated grahasthas, they're as good as sannyasis. It's there. But the fact is that because you're a grahastha, you're more prone to have affection, entanglement, attachment, relationship. You're more prone to have that. You will always look at somebody as your son, and somebody who's not your son is not your son. You'll always be like that. The more prone, more vulnerable to accepting a world of duality. Maybe, you will think they are devotees, but nevertheless you will think that they are my son. He's my son, my grandson, my children, my wife, my family, my wealth, You're definitely more prone to thinking like that. So at some point of time, it is said that even though they may be relatives, they may be family, they may be, it's try to retire from even that conception that, and then become a vanaprastha. So even though you may be grihastha, you may be a devotee grihastha, a great grihastha, a renounced grihastha, but still the fact that you're a grihastha means there is some element of attachment either to your senses, to body, to this or that. Some attachment is there. Otherwise, why would you be a grihastha? Something is there. Now, Prabhupada says you dovetail that attachment. Then you try and convert that attachment to bring Krishna, serve Krishna together. But nevertheless, the concept of family as a unit is there. My wife, my children, my house, my wealth, my property, my business, my children, my grandchildren, my relatives. So that concept to some degree is there. It's a different matter that though that concept is there, you may try to engage all of them as much as possible in serving Guru and Krishna. But some tendency is still there. Remnants of the tendency is there. But sometimes, of course, Prabhupada says they're as good as sannyasis. When somebody shows that high level of spiritual maturity and attachment, so they are called as good as sannyasis. But they're not really sannyasis. Sannyasi means wear saffron and says, I have nothing to do with this world and I'll never again get into that kind of a relationship. I have to be inside the relationship and pretend that I'm not bound by them, bound by that or like that. So when someone's attachment for Krishna grows and becomes more and more intense, they'll give up family life. They'll say, no, it's not worth it. I want to engage myself completely in Krishna's service. Completely. Renounce everything. Give up as quickly as possible and become completely dedicated to Krishna. So that's called Vanaprastha, and Vanaprastha is the preparing stage to take sannyas. But you see, we can't pretend that I am sannyasi. Safer, that's why Prabhupada says, don't create disturbance in society. Proclaim yourself, I'm sannyasi, I'm renounced, and we can't do it. It's difficult. So go through a gradual, safer process. Become a grihastha, learn to live, by and large, learn to live like that. And then Vanaprastha, then sannyas or retire, at least that. But don't pretend that you're very, very renounced when you're not ready for it. And say, I don't want to get married, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Whereas the tendency is still there. Attachment, desire for sense enjoyment, all that is strongly present. The Prabhupada says, doesn't matter, be in that ashram where you will be safe. You will not be a hindrance and disturbance in society. You will not create havoc. You're not qualified to be, but you're pretending to be sannyasi and then you make a mess of your life. Ashram, everything. Create hindrance, create humiliating, embarrassing situations for yourself and the society by prematurely jumping. So it's always safer. Those who have that tendency, it doesn't matter, become grihastha, live like that for some time and slowly come out. In other words, what Lord Chaitanya is also saying is becoming a grihastha is not a disqualification from becoming a dedicated servant of Guru and Krishna. It's not a disqualification. It doesn't disqualify you in any manner by demonstrating that some of his most intimate servants were all grihasthas. Okay. But always better to take advice of senior devotees, Guru, and gradually walk up the ladder of renunciation and realization. Don't jump. Don't bypass. That could be difficult to handle. Okay, good question. Any other question? Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Shri Radha Madan Mohan Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai Shri Gaurnitai ki Jagat Guru Pati Pavan Srila Prabhupada ki